Hey guys, welcome to Saturday Question and Answer right here on the Digital Outlook channel. And guys, today the question we're going to tackle is why it is so important to know what you hold. And what do I even mean by saying that? Guys, one of the things that I deal a lot with when it comes to our coaching is knowing, what you really hold, getting to know, as I love to call it, your soil. Because what we're doing is we're taking those hard-earned investment dollars and we are putting it into the ground in a lot of these assets that we're investing in. Well, the problem with a lot of that is most people have not even taken the time to truly understand what it is they're investing in. What a lot of people are investing in this space, guys, is to put in just a few hundred, maybe a few $1,000, and within a very short period of time, they want to see that literally take off and, of course, make them millionaires. And that is what we see. And, of course, that whole kind of like concept and way in which people approach this space certainly comes from the early days when you could have just put in just a few bucks and watched it absolutely fly. Well, you can't so much do that today. And remember this as well. Back in the day when XRP first came out, of course, you only had Bitcoin. Ethereum wasn't even on the scene, and there was really a very small handful of this. Well, now there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and it just is so vitally important that you have a strong rationale for why you're doing what you're doing. Most people don't, guys. And what we try to teach people in coaching is how to develop a strong rationale, how to actually identify a lot of the psychology that happens in this market, because that's what really moves a lot of people to do what they do. And these big players out there, guys, they know it. They know it hands down, and they have been doing it for decades. Decades in, the regular markets there, the normal markets that most people, the equities market, commodities market, Forex market, all this kind of stuff. And of course, they've just taken all of what they learned over those last decades, and boy, can they ever apply it to this market. And this market being one of the most volatile markets, of course, is one of the big reasons that they go out and do it, because they can crash it way down, and then you see it pump way up. I mean, look at some of the scammy wicks that we've seen. About 3 weeks ago, the whole thing literally collapsed. How many people literally got liquidated? Either they had stop losses on there, they were leveraging, or whatever they were doing, they got destroyed. But beyond that, do you realize 2,000 people ended up taking their own lives? That's what's been reported as a result of a big crash like that. The psychology hit them so bad, and they lost everything that they had, that they just couldn't take it anymore. And that, guys, right there is a big deal when you consider how this thing can affect us mentally. And so why is it so important? Because, guys, if you don't get to know your soil, you are literally at the mercy of the market. Truly you are. And I encourage people so much to get out there and really, pull back that curtain, go out there and research all the information that is available to you. And of course, it is so vital to do it, because if you think that you just, so-and-so told me thus and such, and so I just went and did so whatever I did over here and put so much into it. And, you're going to sit there. You know what most people that have entered into this space are like? Guys, they've never invested a dime in their lives, or if they have not really become sophisticated in their investing. And, they literally get played by yo-yos, and they're sitting there watching the day-to-day price action. And oh my gosh, is it ever tormenting them? And in this space, of course, we've had these bull and bear markets significantly. If you think for 1 second that Judy and I, because we had no experience as investors, but when we watched our portfolio fire off, and I mean to some monumental levels compared to what we put in. And at the time, we were thinking, hey, it's probably going to go way more. And boy, did we ever buy into that. And of course, people throw out major numbers, right? They throw out these big time numbers, not realizing the ebbs and flows of markets and how they are interconnected, with other markets. This market is definitely connected, guys, to the S&P. It's definitely connected to the Russell. It's definitely connected to the DXY and all the other markets. In fact, all of those markets, by the way, are dependent upon the debt market. So understanding markets is a big time deal. And it's the fundamentals that you want to think about and what is happening right now in the real world. What is really going on behind the scenes? What are all these nation states around the world developing? Well, we know they're developing a new digital economy with central bank digital currencies, with stable coins, the legislation around the wide world, and they're moving way further away from this cash-based system. Now, a lot of people say, well, we're not really even using cash, which you're correct. Because look, I think 5% of all deposits on record, actually only 5% of that, in cash that you could actually see, that kind of result. So if everybody went to the bank to take out their money, only 5% of us would get any. How about that? Because there just isn't even that much physical currency out there. But it's not just changing from that monetary system into, like going from that, because a lot of people think, well, we're digital already because our money is, on debit cards. It's not. When you're talking about moving into a new digital system, of course, you are talking about, having the programmability of that currency. Big difference than what we've got right now. And the thing is this, yes, it is still somewhat of a fiat system. It's still going to be based, guys, on trust. And that's the biggest deal. See, a fiat system, when you're dealing with like the U.S. world reserve currency, guys, the only value that really it has is that it's trusted, right? It is the confidence that people have in the economic, power of the state, of the nation state issuing that currency. And that's where its valuation gets. Now, of course, we have a basket of currencies. It's all balanced out there and, all that kind of stuff. But the nuts and bolts of it is, hey, it's not based on anything. Not backed by gold, not backed by anything. It is backed by the confidence people have in it. Well, a lot of these new, digital central bank digital currencies and all this, of course, it is also going to be backed by that relative confidence that people have. But the thing is this, guys, it is going to be a trustless system. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, right now, people have to trust in the economy. Guys, we won't, of the individual nation like the United States, for instance, for U.S. world reserve currency status. It's not going to be like that. In the future, I don't believe we are going to see one nation state holding that world reserve currency over any others. I believe it's going to be agnostic, and we're going to trust in the technology. Not in one another like that, not in nation states. That's why it's called a trustless system, because we're starting to trust in what the technology is and how balanced it is and how that works and why it is immutable. And look at some of these things have had, for instance, the XRP ledger, over 100 million ledgers closed, guys, not one mistake. How about that? That is truly phenomenal. But that's what's going on. And so how do you actually get out there and see where this is going in the future? You research it, guys. You build that level of confidence up in here. And there's so much available for you to go and do that. And I'll tell you what, you get yourself mentally and educated. And having that really deep down in the core, because this space will eat you alive if you don't. It will eat you alive. And I have shared this so many times. And we have actually coached now hundreds and hundreds of people, and so many of them, as sophisticated as they are, having some real strategic guidelines to follow, being able to identify and understand how the psychology of the market affects, what happens in the space. Being able, guys, to actually get out there and balance a portfolio towards the achievement of a goal is a massive deal. Most people aren't doing it. They're just thinking, yeah, when the price is high, I'm going to sell. I'm going to tell you right now, most of them won't. 99%, if not more, are going to completely miss it, guys. They are going to miss it because they are so focused on the minute details that are going on or distracted by all this and that, completely oblivious to it, as I've said in the past, and they have no strategic focus or plan. And that's how they miss it, and they get flooded out galore. If you don't think people are responding to that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, guys, it's off the Richter scale right now. Most of retail is just getting shaken like a tree. And I'll tell you what, do you know when most of retail really gets in? When it's way up here. Do you know when most of them get out? Guys, when it's way down here. Yep, that's what happens. And so you could be looking at your portfolio and you just watched it climb. And of course, you're so thrilled and you're excited and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. And of course, you're hoping for the future and that. But then when it starts to flutter down, whoa, the confidence gets weakened. Oh, the fear gets going and you start shaking. And a lot of people, and that is the whole goal of it. They are trying to shake you out, completely shake you out. And it happens all the time. And by the way, guys, it has happened to some seasoned investors in the space that have been in the space for a very long time, have lost absolute confidence, and literally right before the thing fired off and bang, made some amazing all-time highs and that type of thing. And I hate for that to happen to you, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's happened to a lot of people, that's for sure. And another thing is, how do you identify, all the things that are out there that are really scamming people and hurting them bad? And I know a lot of folks that have lost a tremendous amount and just doing some foolish things and not really understanding what's going on or why they're doing what they're doing. How about that? See, there's the what, but you got to know your why. And a lot don't. And this is why it is so vitally important to know your soil and to understand what you're doing in the space. Now, I'll tell you what. We have opened up our coaching now, and I believe the dates, the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th there. And if you're interested in doing that and having that one-on-one for that 1 hour plus over Zoom with me, where we absolutely help you to identify what's going on in the space, taking a look at your portfolio, getting that balance towards the achievement of your goals, and so many other techniques that you can employ. Guys, get yourself on the calendar. You can visit me right there at thedigital.outlook.com and get yourself on that calendar there, guys. And we don't keep it open that long. And, we have helped so many people of every walk of life, business owners, professionals, athletes, average, everyday folks just doing what you and I are doing, on and on and on, with a lot of level thinking that you can really actually employ strategic plan to balance what you're putting in towards the achievement of your goals, guys, because I do not want you to miss it. That is a fact, Jack. And Judy and I know what it feels like because we were there, guys. We were there. And this is one of those questions you've got to get these answers for. You really do. And how I want you to make it. Want you to make it big time. And guys, I'll tell you what, lots of things happen in this space. And later on, we're going to have tomorrow our Sugar on Sunday. And don't want you to miss that because, guys, we throw down some amazing nuggets of encouragement. So I'll tell you what, guys, just keep your thinking caps on. Keep yourself as sharp as you can be. Wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. And tomorrow, until then, guys, have a fabulous one and take care.